Hey everybody, it's Rachel from Burn That Butter, and I'm going to be talking about a lot of really personal stuff in this video. And I'm just going to preface everything by saying that I am only going to be accepting positive feedback. Translation: if someone is being rude or, inappropriate in any way, I will just block you and I will delete it off of the comments. It's just that simple. I share so that you don't have to. And what I'm going to be talking about today is in the next few days, I am going to be going for a consultation for plastic surgery. And I've kind of gone back and forth about this. So my backstory for anybody who doesn't know, I lost 100 pounds with diet and exercise about 12 years ago. And then I had a series of health crises and I went through a divorce, and over 10 years, I gained the majority of that weight back. Not all of it, but the majority of it. I had gone for a plastic surgery consultation that 10, 12 years ago. And at that time, I was told by the physician that my weight loss was too new. Translation: I literally just had hit that 100-pound mark. I didn't have a track record for sustaining that. And so what he told me at that time was, I would like for you to be at a stable weight for at least 6 months, but preferably at least a year before, and I would like for you to lose a little bit more weight before I would want to be your surgeon. And if you would like, you can seek out somebody else, but I want you to have a good result. I don't want you to regain weight, etc. Well, I did regain weight. Again, I went through a divorce. That was very challenging for me on a lot of levels. But then I also became very, very sick. And I wound up going through pernicious anemia. I had a severe vitamin D deficiency. I was exhausted. I was depressed. And I had a multitude of different surgeries, all leading up to ultimately having a hysterectomy. I had a few blood transfusions along the way. I mean, I was really, really a very sick person. In fact, I was told by several doctors that I was not allowed to exercise. That is how sick I was. I just physically barely had the energy to get through the day and survive. And so all of those factors, I wasn't able to sustain the exercise that I was doing, and I fell back into old patterns. And yes, over about 10 years, I regained about 85 of the 100 pounds back. Okay, so fast forward to about 2 years ago. I was in a new relationship, and it's not because of the relationship that I decided to lose weight, but I was stable. I was in a new home. I was secure in my job. And I was physically as well as emotionally at a place where I could start doing diet and exercise again. So I just was disappointed in myself that I had regained the majority of this weight, but it is what it is. And I knew I've done it before, I can do it again. And so fast forward to today, I've basically been at a stable weight for just over a year, kind of plus or minus within about a 5 to 8 pound range. But my body is very different than it was when I lost the weight the first time. And I certainly don't anticipate going through major health crises again, but I have been working on diet and exercise for 2.5 years, versus, over like a 6-month time period where I lost the weight before. So I'm actually going to see the same surgeon that I saw before. And I made a list, and I'll be referring to this list. I wrote in this notebook a list. I wanted to really clarify what are my reasons for wanting to have this surgery, as well as writing down pertinent things about my health history that I know that this physician is going to want to ask me about, my medications, my supplements, as well as different questions that I have for the surgeon. And I divided my questions into things like pre-procedure, things about the procedure if I have it, post-procedure, recovery, and so that I can really take notes and be incredibly well prepared for this surgical consult. But what I'm going to be talking about today is my reasons for seeking out this surgery. And so I'm going to put my glasses on just so I can kind of read what I wrote, because this is what happens as you get older. You're start needing reading glasses. So let's go ahead and put my glasses on and go ahead and talk about what I wrote. So I'm not anticipating that this physician is going to ask me about my reasons for wanting to have this surgery, but I wanted to clarify it in my own mind, and really because this may impact any decisions that I make. I am not sure if I qualify. There are different types of tummy tuck, and that's what I'm going for. And so my reasons may then impact any decisions that I make. So I'm going to go through that. So first of all, any movements, not any, but many movements with exercising are challenging for me. Now, I'm going to be incredibly personal here. I'm going to kind of move my camera, and I'm just going to show my stomach, right? Okay, so I mean, you've seen me, my arms, my shoulders, my legs. I am very, very muscular. I have lost a lot of weight. I've even had DEXA scans, and my DEXA scans are, normal, healthy weight. I'm at the bottom end of a healthy weight. And then if I am just a few percentage points lower with my body fat percentage, I would be considered to be an athletic body type. And the majority of my fat is just in the core area. Ever since I put weight on, I have been an apple shape. When I had my 2 pregnancies and my children are in their 20s, I did not gain very much weight with them, but I was straight out front with just like the big basketball. I literally gained 18 pounds with my first pregnancy and then lost that weight. And I gained 16 pounds with my second pregnancy. So I didn't gain very much weight with the pregnancies, but I did sustain what's called a diastasis recti, and that is where the abdominal muscles, and so like imagine this is your 6-pack. So the muscles separated. And so what that means is that all the gush, kind of all the, your organs and everything behind your muscles, because my muscles have kind of separated, I don't have that internal girdle holding things in, so I have much more of a pot belly. It is very challenging for me to do any sort of core work. And again, I'm gonna move my camera here, kind of coming around because I was sitting on my bed, and I'm going to back up. So if I kind of go like this, I mean, there's no squish like on the sides. but the squish is all in the front. So, and if I, kind of lift this up, and yes, I'm fish belly white. What are you gonna do about it, right? Like, it's just my coloring. And in the 1600s, 1700s, I would have been the supermodel back then. But okay, so the top part of my stomach, I mean, there's a little bit of skin, but like I'm pretty solid up here. Okay, so then then I come to my belly button, and now things are getting a lot squishier, and just pulling this down kind of without, being sort of censored. And then I have all of this, okay? So, and I can kind of pull this, and it's just, it's a lot of squish going on. So, all right, pulling my shorts back up. Thank you for tolerating that. Anyhow, so if I am trying to do forward movements, my stomach is in the way. So if I'm doing any sort of hinging movements, so if I'm trying to do Romanian deadlifts, if I'm trying to touch my toes, if I'm trying to do certain stretches, if I'm moving forward, literally my stomach is in the way. And I have to kind of like pick it up sometimes and sort of move it. Talk about embarrassing. Because if I don't do that, then I literally kind of pinch myself when I do those forward hinging kinds of movement. So that is one of the reasons I just cannot comfortably do certain types of exercises and go as hard as I want to with some of my exercises because of that. Same thing goes for vertical movements. So if I am trying to do things like powerful, like jumping, explosive sorts of movements, things like jumping jacks, any, up and down kind of motion. And I'm not gonna do it on camera, but just trust me. So if I'm doing any of those kinds of movements, literally this gushy fat and hanging skin, this real stretched out skin, like it's flapping. There's just no other way to describe it. It is flapping, and you get this sort of disgusting weirdo sound that is embarrassing. I have tried wearing compression shorts. I have tried using waist trainers of different, styles, and it doesn't really make a difference. It still flaps around. So that is another major reason that I would like to get this tissue removed and be able to do the kinds of movements that I want to do as someone who is athletic. I have been running full 26.2 mile marathons. I go to the gym. It depends on the week and what I'm doing with my training. But I will go to the gym anywhere from 3 to 6 times a week. Again, depending on what I'm doing and where I am in various training programs. And it is hard for me to do those kinds of movements. It's also really hard for me to do core work. So again, remember I said that I have that diastasis recti. So my abdominal muscles are incredibly weak. It is very difficult, not quite impossible, but it is also painful for me to do things like sit-ups, any sort of like the hinging kinds of things that you have to do with a lot of different kinds of core work. And when you have a diastasis recti, it just tends to kind of make it separate even more. So, you know, I try to do things, and for all I know, I'm either not improving it or I'm possibly making it worse. And so I would like to have a strong core. We all should have a strong core. And so the Roman chair, like where you kind of prop yourself up and you lift your legs up or bring your knees, I can manage a few of them, but that is just purely out of sheer strength and stubbornness. But it hurts. And it's not a normal hurt. I feel the muscle pulling. I also happen to have a what's called an inguinal something. It's a type of hernia. So that is so if this is my pelvis, so the hernia is like really kind of low, sort of, you know, and it hurts. So when I do certain motions, I have pain, not just where my abdominal six-pack muscles are, but then I also have pain in this hernia area, and I'm probably making that worse also. So having the hernia, when they do tummy tuck, they tighten up all the muscles underneath. They will repair the diastasis recti. They will do what they call, you know, kind of tightening the internal corseting of the muscles, give it a lot more structure and strength with several layers of suturing, as well as repair any and all hernias that are there in the abdominal wall. Okay, so we've talked about vertical movements, hinging movements, core work, and the delightful flapping sounds with all kinds of movements, and pinching. So because this tissue projects forward, not only with movements, but like I've caught myself in zippers. I have, like, if I roll in the night, sometimes, like, you know, like that tissue just like gets sort of trapped under the rest of my body, and it pinches, and it's painful, and it wakes me up. So it's interfering with my sleep. Okay, so now I have things that are health related, and some of them are I don't know if this will be something that will actually happen, but I would like to think so. All right, so did you know that the biggest endocrine organ in your body, endocrine meaning an organ that puts out hormones, and this is a medical fact for everyone, it's not just for me, that the largest endocrine organ in your body is actually your fat cells. So I have a lot of very stubborn fat in this area, as well as that sort of stretched out skin and stretch marks and all that gushiness that is there. And those fat cells in your body put out hormones for hunger. And because those fat cells want to stay alive. And so I'm hoping that if I have this removed, that you know, I'm pretty good with my hunger. I'm nowhere near, you know, the raging hunger person where, like, don't get between me and the food because you'll lose an arm. I will, you know, fight you to get to the food, the way that I used to be when I was in, you know, 250 plus pounds. But I still think I have a lot more hunger than just, you know, the average normal person does, and probably because there are these fat cells which I developed, and they're not going away. They would have gone away with diet and exercise if they were going to go away with diet and exercise. I'm fairly, good with my diet. I follow my macros and I exercise like it's nobody's business. And if it was going to go away with diet and exercise, it would have. So I'm hoping that will improve my health, getting rid of some of these fat cells. If you think about it this way, some people need to have like a gastric bypass in order to successfully lose weight. I don't need that, but parts of the intestinal tract that they remove with a gastric bypass puts out hunger hormones. And so that is considered to be an acceptable medical intervention. And I am looking at this tummy tuck as something very similar. Okay. I touched on the sleep. I'm hoping that once I heal and all of that I don't have skin that's pinching and rolling and, moving around in funky ways, and that my sleep improves just because I'm not going to be rolling around and pinching on it. I'm also hoping that I have improved diabetes numbers. I'm hoping that I stop being diabetic. I'm like this close to not being diabetic anymore. And basically each time I've kind of come down about 15 to 20 pounds, I've been able to get rid of a medication. This has been the pattern. So I'm hoping that, that just may be part of what I need to move forward with my health. So a couple of other things I've kind of like hit the wall with being able to lose weight. This is a very stubborn fat area, but it's also skin and tissue and things like that. As I said, I've basically been a stable weight for about a year. And if anyone was going to lose more weight, it would be me, and it's really not happening. Okay, so now some of the other things are kind of personal goals as far as athletic performance goes. I do have a goal that I want to be able to do a pull-up. And part of what I think is hindering me is just my sheer mass. I'm 180 pounds right now. That is a lot of weight for a woman to pull up. So I'm hoping that I can be a lot better with perhaps ultimately achieving my goal of being able to do pull-ups once I get rid of this excess weight that I can't seem to get rid of. Same thing goes with my running speed. It's a lot of weight to propel forward through space and time. I've got legs for days, and I'm very strong, very powerful, but it's still a lot of weight to move forward. And so, running speed is another reason that I have. Okay, so let's talk about self-esteem stuff, and literally I'm going in the order of what is important to me. So self-esteem, I feel like I have pretty good self-esteem. I don't tolerate nonsense from other people because who cares what other people think. But it does disturb me. And I've had strangers, I've had friends and coworkers kind of say variations on the theme where, boy, your arms, your shoulders, your face, your legs are so lean. How come you still have this round belly? I don't like people perhaps thinking that I am fat. I am not fat. I am very healthy as far as my body fat percentage is. And this shape that I have, yes, some of it is fat, but most of it is just it's tissue. I would like to not be as much of an apple shape. And, you know, I'm not going to be a wafy little thing. Like, that's just never going to happen. But I would like to not be an apple shape anymore. And you saw when I kind of pulled at that that is what is making me an apple shape. It's not what is underneath at all. I do have a little bit of visceral fat, emphasis on the word little. I have about 2 to 3 pounds of visceral fat, but that is not causing me to have this big round belly. It's just not. So, okay. So clothes. Now, I work in a hospital. I have to wear hospital scrubs, and the way that scrubs fit, because of the shape of my belly, my hospital uniform is constantly falling down. It doesn't matter whether I wear ones that are bigger and really like pull the tie belt super tight, or whether I wear ones that are snugger. It doesn't matter which size I wear. It doesn't matter. I've tried on various brands of scrubs because I'm actually allowed to, it's a long story, but I'm allowed to wear something other than the provided hospital scrubs. It doesn't matter what's just the way that scrubs are cut. And same thing for jeans, same thing for leggings. It's just the way that my stomach and the way that this tissue kind of projects forward, clothing rolls down. And that is incredibly embarrassing. And so that's part of why I prefer to, like in the summer, I like wearing like sundresses, because I don't have things falling down that I'm like hiking up, because, you know, who wants that? Who needs that? Okay. So, you know, and along the lines of, and I wrote down here, aesthetics is my last. So this, you know, the clothes thing, like, I'm not a clothes horse. I'm not going to be a supermodel. I'm not going to be an underwear model. I'm not trying to lose weight because because of my husband. He loves me no matter what size I am, and that's why I married him, because he is an incredible man. But he fell in love with me when I was 285 pounds. And he loves me at 180 pounds. So it doesn't matter to him. He's not pushing this, but he is supporting me in this decision. So the aesthetics, and I've lost over 100 pounds, and I would kind of like my stomach area to, like, you know, match my arms and match my chest and match my back and match my legs. You know, it would be nice to have my whole body match and not, you know, be mismatched and kind of misshapen that way. So those are my reasons. And along those lines, I'm gonna take my glasses off. So as I said, aesthetics is my absolute last reason. Now, there are 3 different ways that tummy tucks can be done. One is called a mini tummy tuck, and I'm absolutely certain that one's just not for me. And that is if where you're just sort of removing tissue, and then tightening up the skin, and not addressing muscular issues, you know, underneath. So that's a much smaller scar, but that's just not gonna be what I need, and it really won't help me that much. So then there's the, you know, kind of a regular tummy tuck where they cut you from like hip to hip, and then they lift the flap up and they remove what they can remove, and then they pull from the top of your stomach. They pull it down like pulling down a window shade, and cut off the excess, and then stitch you back together. Okay, so that's kind of a more traditional tummy tuck. Now, the third type is what's called a fleur-de-lis, and it is less common. I'm not certain whether it's something that would be entirely appropriate for me again. This is why I'm having the surgical consult, and I'm going to rely on the surgeon's expertise. But a fleur-de-lis is basically, they cut you from the breastbone down, and then they cut you from hip to hip. So it's kind of more of like an anchor, or like the shape of a fleur-de-lis, which is a type of flower. It's the national flower of France, and what you see on like French emblems and things along those lines. So when they do it that way, they can pull from left to right, and then that kind of tightens up your back. And then they do the up and down, kind of the window shade sort of thing. And I am very open to that. I do not care about a scar, okay? If anything, I think scars are cool. And if you could cut me in 20 different ways, as long as what needs to get accomplished would get accomplished. I am not going to be an underwear model. I don't care if somebody sees that I have a scar. You know what? If somebody asks me about a scar, or scars plural, what I would say is, I got it in a bar fight, and you should see the other one. Kicked her ass, right? Kicked her ass. And I'm still here, right? So I don't care about a scar. I appreciate that, especially for many women, the idea of a scar. And, oh, please do the scar as low as possible. Please do it so that it's hidden in my underwear. Please do it so that I can wear a bathing suit and nobody knows that I have a scar. That sort of thing. I don't care about that. That kind of thing has never, like, it got a scar here from like chicken pox, and I've got scars on my body. Got a scar from where I had like a little bit of surgery on my arm, and yeah, I have scars. Who cares? Scars are cool. But I know that that's not something that every woman would feel comfortable with. I do. So I am looking for the best result, for no flapping, to get kind of as flat and even as possible. I want to have the best range of motion as possible. And scarring be damned. Bring on the scars. I don't care. And so this is my thought process. We'll see what the surgeon says. Part of me is scared that he'll say that I'm not a candidate, that I haven't been a stable weight long enough, or that I've talked about how I have a congenital heart condition, which was never discovered until I was in my 40s. And I've lived my life, and I've run marathons, and I've done all kinds of things with kind of a little bit unusual anatomy. And I function a lot better than many people with normal anatomy. I have an amazing resting heart rate. Right now, my resting heart rate is in the 40s. That's like athletic people who are Olympic athletes, who are Olympic swimmers, professional marathon runners, people who are professional bike riders who are like doing the Tour de France, things along those lines. I am in kick-ass shape, whether I have funky anatomy or not. But part of me is really, I'm scared that I'll be told that I'm not a candidate for what is ultimately elective surgery because of that. Here's the deal. If I have to live with flapping skin, Okay, that's fine. I'd really rather get rid of it, but I can live with it. It would be quite a bit of money that I would save, and not, you know, because insurance is not going to pick this up because it's considered to be elective surgery. Now, they may pick up a little bit of it for the hernia repair portion, like they may cover, you know, a portion of the surgeon's fees. You know, what would normally be a surgeon's fee for hernia repair and anesthesia for that. So that'll give me basically a little bit of a refund, but basically I'm funding this on my own. And God, that sucks. But what are you going to do? You know, I can make it happen. But if they tell me that I can't, then I would be disappointed, but I would not be like demoralized or crushed by it. And so we'll just see how it goes. My husband is coming with me on this surgical consult, just for moral support, but also, you know, I want him to hear what is or could happen, what the surgery as well as recovery would entail. And again, if there are any sort of like decisions to be made, like when to do the surgery, I'm kind of like, you know, let's do this. Let's just get this done. Get it done. Not getting any younger. None of us are. Every day that goes by, I'm another day older. Let's just, you know, I'm at a point, I'm like, let's just do this. You know, let's just get it done. And I, as always, I am working on being the best that I can be. I'm working on being the healthiest that I can be. And that is mentally, spiritually, physically. And yeah, and I believe that getting this done will help me in those goals. So thank you so much. I will make a video after I've done the consult and see what he says and keep you posted. But thank you so much. If you've watched this whole thing, thank you so much for your love and support. If you are considering having a tummy tuck yourself, maybe some of the things that I've said can help clarify decisions that you would make or questions that you might have about just about the process. And you know, as I said before, I share so you don't have to, right? I share so that you don't have to. I'm just a real person. I'm 54 years old and I'm living my life. I have made mistakes. I gained a hell of a lot of weight and I have lost it, and I'm never going back. Have a great evening. I love you all.